Shush. Excuse me, just 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. Just had a knock at the door. Okay. Let me think. Okay, so as you can see, I had a problem with my... I just was looking here. I had a problem with my PA accounts. I lost the one after that bad day I had. I lost the one and I had a second one, and I was trading an evaluation at 10 contracts. And I saw a trade and I switched over from my evaluation to my PA account and took a trade without changing over, reducing my contracts. And I got into a trade for 10 contracts and it went against me. I got out at about $675 down. So it just put me into negative equity. And I ended up taking a stupid risk to try and get it back. I was so frustrated, so I didn't trade yesterday. So it does happen. I'm frustrated, but all I can do is try and learn from it and move on. So later yesterday, obviously we had that nice downtrend, so I did trade another evaluation, and that is about $130 or $120 away from passing. So I'm just going to finish this account and get this account up to, and then what I'm going to do then is just reduce back to 1 contract. 2 contracts is just too stressful. It's creating, it's just creating too much stress. So I've done the same thing, but 8 accounts on 6 PAs with 8. Oh, yeah, it's painful, isn't it, mate? It's painful. Okay, market. So I have got 2 other options I wanted to talk to you guys about as well anyway. So leg down. So quick, what's going on today? So we had this little push up and then we've come back more or less to where we opened. And that looks like a spike on channel with an overshoot. So I expect a couple of legs back. So it's okay, let's let this sorted out. So that looks like a couple of legs of correction. I'm wondering, are we going to push up? So I'm only literally $130 away. So I've got 2 contracts set at just 8 ticks, which will comfortably get me in there and give me enough to trade a micro for the next 5 days. Quickly, if I miss, I have a few questions, but a little later about Apex. Anytime, mate. Anytime you like. All okay, though. A brand new day. Yeah, it happens. I've had this battle with trading 1 contract, 2 contracts, 1 contract. And the trouble is with 2 contracts, if you have a bad day, it makes such a dent on your account. And the trouble is, there is a higher low there, but it's just way too far from the MA. We've got 2 legs down. Maybe we're going to have another push up. But I have been looking at the, I think it was Chris earlier on sent me a message saying he's gone down to the MES to trade micros. So I'm tempted maybe to do that later in the day after my stream with my own money. We'll see. But I did look at that. This is just the MES, the 1,000 tick chart, which is almost identical. We had the overshoot, then we had 2 legs back. I look at this one, we had 2 legs up and a triple test. So I didn't trade it, but I marked that one as a triple test, 1-to-1, and it worked. We had a lower high there, 1-to-1, and it worked. So just something I'm looking at. And also the 4,000 tick chart as well. The thing about the 4,000 tick chart is technically it takes twice as long for these bars to form, which in essence gives you more time to take a trade. Good morning from Alberta, Lance. Why is your average length of time to pass an eval? What is mine? I tend to risk a little bit more. I usually, yesterday, because we had that downtrend, I just took a risk and it worked. I went 5 contracts on a nice setup and I just left it to get to me points, and I got about 2,200 on the first trade, and I did another. There was loads of setups yesterday, as you know. So what I tend to do, I think most people tend to risk a little bit more. So, I tend to go for about the 4 contracts. It's about right, but not everyone's the same. You've got to do it. You've got to take a minimum of 7 days. So sometimes I'm thinking, well, is it wise to just take your time? So we got a leg down, 1, 2, is it wise to just take your time? You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you rush, if you've got to do it for at least 7 days, I'm thinking sometimes you might as well just take your time. But it's up to you, mate. Just work out what your loss is going to be and how many trades. There's a bearish bar which is triggered there. If it pushes above there, there is some resistance there, though. I'm a bit unsure as to exactly to what's going on, but yeah, it's a personal thing, really. Work out how many trades you can lose, and I don't know what your win rate is or what your batting average is. If you're winning 80%, just work out what you. But they don't stress me anymore, the evaluations. So it's a personal thing, really, mate. So it's something only you've got to decide, really. But I normally would trade about 4 contracts, maybe 3 contracts and 1 as a runner, something like that. If it sort of suits you. So leg and a leg. So this is interesting. Yeah, another thing I'm toying with the idea as well is trading maybe the 4,000 tick chart. In order to get 10 contracts, do you buy 10 evals and trade them all the same time? In order to get 10 contracts. 10 contracts. Okay. I think I know what you mean. In order to get 10 contracts, you have about 10 accounts. 10 or 10. So if you get 1 account, you can trade. No, not contracts, trading. Okay. You can buy up to 20 accounts and trade them all the same time, but you need something, a trade copy. Now, my recommendation is, you can see it down here, is Replicanto. I don't have problems with Replicanto. The Apex one I have. So you need, I don't know whether you know this anyway, but so if you want, say, 1 contract, you can obviously trade how many contracts you like. You can trade 2, 5. I mean, if you're a successful trader, if you make money, buy as many as you can afford. Trade of 8 has 1 all set up. There you go. There you go. But yeah, you can trade as many as you like. You've got to pass it. You've got to pass evaluations. You can trade them all, but you obviously got to pass the evaluations the same. And then per account, you've got 2 options. You can pay $85 a month. This is for a $50,000 account. Or you can pay $140 as a one-off fee. So what I'll suggest is, if you think you can hold your account for over 30 days, you're better off with the $140. If you're still new to PAs and you're a bit all over the place, then you may be better off to pay the monthly. That's up to you, really. But yeah, you can have up to 20 accounts with Apex. So yeah, another thing I'm toying with as well, because sometimes trading on the 2,000 tick chart can be quite fast moving, and sometimes you don't have a lot of time to think, and sometimes you can make rash decisions. So what I'm going to do is look after my trading day in the evenings, is look at the 3,000 tick chart and the 4,000 tick chart and just go through the possible entries and just see if they're, as lucrative as this. Let's have a look. On the 7th day for the evals, do you have to make a trade each day? Yes, but with the valuations, you can trade as little as 1 micro and 1 tick. So let's say so this is day 2 for me. I've got to get $124 to pass that. But I have got to trade every day, so I can take 1 micro. So what I usually do is trade 1 micro, 1 tick, and just buy or sell. Doesn't matter whether you win it or lose it. You're only going to lose about $2 or $3. So what I would do is get that ideally something like $20, $15, $20 above the 3,000, and then just go on to MES and just, set your settings however you do it in Trade of 8 and just trade 1 tick. As long as it's a trade, it doesn't matter. So there's no real rules on the evaluations. You can do whatever you like. You can trade 10 contracts and do it all in one go. You can trade the news. I know some guys that have two charts with 2 different evaluations. They'll go long 6 points and short 6 points during the news, and usually they'll hit one of them. So there's no real rules on the evaluations. You can do whatever you want. Does it have to be 7 days in a row? No, it doesn't. No. You've got to have a minimum of 7 days. You can do those 7 days over 2 weeks if you want. It doesn't matter. But if you take 30 days, you will be rebilled for the second month come 30 days. So just keep that in mind. If you've paid 80% off $35, chances are you'll get a $35 charge again a month later. I think it's usually 30 days. So no 7 days in a row. You can do 5 days 1 week, 2 days a week later. So there's no real restrictions there, bud. So you've got quite a bit of freedom there. So it was a good trading day yesterday. So I'm a bit frustrated that I did that. I traded an evaluation, went for 10 contracts, saw a trade, changed over quickly from my eval to my P account, and forgot to change the 10 contracts, and got myself into a bit of trouble, and that just messed my psychology up. So possible leg and a leg. That messed me psychology up, so I'm back to an evaluation, which luckily it was a good day. If you aren't profitable, I wouldn't recommend a home run concept and trade an eval correctly. Otherwise, it can get expensive. Absolutely, I agree with that. Absolutely. That's the downside to having cheap evaluations. You can get a little bit of a gambling mentality where you can just take stupid risks. I know because I've done it. That's the downside to having cheap evaluations. Sometimes I don't think they do you any favours. Was that news there? It wasn't, was it? Yes, it was. Was that news? Yeah, I think it was. So, see, it's touching actually quite nice there. So, I'm just going to get rid of that for now, but just mark that as an area of interest, because there is a possibility it actually fits perfectly there. So there is a possibility that there may be an uptrend. Let's have a look yesterday. See, after that downtrend yesterday, sort of 2 legs, wasn't it? Leg, a leg. Maybe you have 2 legs up and then down. Leg and a leg. That's a possibility of a leg, 2 legs of correction and a leg. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So maybe we've got a leg and then another leg or another leg. 2 legs of correction. I would probably say that would make more sense. So there is a possibility we could have a channel which may take us, because that looks like a leg to me. 2 legs of correction and some more pushes up. So so let's keep an eye on this. Excuse me 1 second. I'm just going to type a message. Okay. Got that second entry long for 2 ticks. That down there. Yeah. Does look like 2 legs of corrections, doesn't it? Where was it? Leg up, leg. Yeah. Got it for 6 ticks. Yeah. It does look like that, actually. 2 legs of correction, doesn't it? The only trouble is you don't know whether it's going to come back here again, because it's quite sideways as well, isn't it? But yeah, we got 2 clear legs down, second entry long, and that's a good chance of that working. Certainly to get up to here anyway, which is going to give you comfortably a couple of points, I'd have said, or 6 ticks as you say. Greetings everyone, I'm late to the party and welcome back. How you doing, bud? We had a chat yesterday, didn't we? I had a bit of a frustrating day, but it happens. So once I pass this one, I'm going to go. What I'll say is, the trouble is when you haven't got a lump sum of your own money. Let's just keep in mind we've got the news coming up in 15 minutes. When you haven't got a chunk of your own money in there, when we get a PA account, effectively we start from zero and we've got to build something from nothing. Now, the way I see things is when you actually build up an account, you've then got something to protect. But while you're trying to build an account, and you know what they say, if you've got nothing, you've got nothing to lose. So if you've got a very small amount in here, I think you more likely take more of a risk. Whereas if all of a sudden someone gave you $10,000, you've actually got something to protect. And a loss or 2 or 3 or 4 doesn't have any real bearing on your account. And I think that's the trouble with prop firms, because you start from zero and you've got to make something out of nothing. Maybe it affects your mindset and you're more inclined to take a risk. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that. How you will trade funded accounts after passing evaluation with your next one. How will I? I trade much better personally. Yeah, Bob Dylan said that. Bob Dylan. I think. I'm guessing you're closer to my age, but I'm thinking half of these young lads in here probably won't know who Bob Dylan is. I don't know. I don't know about you, Nomad. I'm 54, so I'm a little bit longer in the tooth, but I don't know. Well, it's interesting because if I look on my stream results, the majority of people are, I think, between sort of like, you're 64, oh, so you got 10 years on me. That makes me feel a little bit better. I think majority age is, I think the strongest age where most people are trading is up to 35. But yeah, I'm trading really. I mean, you tend to get a bit older, you get a bit wiser. So sometimes you think, we're not on a football field. This is, it's not about fitness. So I'm thinking sometimes is wiser better. It certainly may be. What's your next monthly management on a PA? That's better. Okay. So what I've worked out is if I trade 2 contracts, the more you risk, the more of an effect. The more you risk, the more of an effect. Do a poll for age. I daren't, mate, because that might look like we might look like old men. Do a poll for age. Okay, I'll do a poll for age in a bit. That's something to do this afternoon, or late morning for a lot of you US guys. So it's like anything. You risk $100 and you risk $10. One has an effect, the other one doesn't at all, really. You risk $10. There's nothing there, really, is there? I agree with you. That was my mistake on 5 PAs, which I blew. Yeah. Too big of a size. It makes perfect sense. Now, let's say in the real world, if you're betting on a football game and you bet $20, if it loses, it's no real issue. In fact, if you bet the game, you probably even walk away and then maybe find out what happened later. But if you put $200 on it, you'd be glued to that game thinking, oh, please win, please win. So it's common sense, isn't it? The more you risk in life, the more. Now, the downside to evaluations, like I say, they don't cost a lot. And it's very easy to get into that bad habit of taking silly risks. So, one of the things I've read, I can't tell you how many times, in all honesty, you're not trading more than one. Yeah, I think that's a better idea. I can't tell you how many times I've read in trading books that everybody, when they start out and when they're newish, and I consider myself 3 years in and still relatively new, always trade too much. Because we hear all the stories of the amounts of money that people can earn, you get blinded by the almighty dollar, don't you? And you take risks to try and get there. And I think at some point you may start to sort of think, okay, this just isn't working. I've got to slow down. Now, what I'll do, I looked at my trading a few days ago. I went through my trades over the last 25 trades. Now, what I find is I had my profit set to 2 points. And I found most of the time I started to lose my confidence, or bottle, whatever you want to call it, part the way through the trade. And I found out that I was getting out at half a point, a point and a half. Very rarely was I letting it go to the potential. So my average profit from trading 2 contracts on the last 25 days was $150. Now, if I looked at how many points those trades make, 23 out of 25 made over 3 points. So I'm thinking, aren't I better off with risking one So, quickly, to summarise, I would have been about $2,000 better off over those trades. Now, I think I would be better off reducing my risk by half, going down to 1 contract and going for 3 points profit, which would give me $150, the same profit I was getting with 2 contracts, because I was losing me confidence of coming out the trade. So effectively, I should be able to risk half the amount and still make the same profit I was making in the trading 2 contracts. So it makes sense, really, doesn't it? So I've ummed and ahed, 2 contracts, 1 contracts, 2 contracts, 1 contracts, and it's hard. Because we do get blinded by money. Most of us are in this business to make money. And the trouble is, when you hear all these stories about people making a fortune, it's very hard for it not to affect you. This is a philosophy that I call hands off, make the trade, set the target. Yeah, I think that's coming from someone who sounds wise. I'm not saying that's because you're 64. I'm just it's a mixture of age and experience, I'd say, but it makes perfect sense. Set your trade and leave it, because what I'll find, and you might find the same, if you go back along the trades that you got out, most of your trades will have hit your target. Some won't, but I find you're always better off financially. So I think the reason some people get out their trades is because they're probably risking too much. And I'm basing that assumption on me personally. So there's no point in risking 2 contracts and coming out your trades early, because, it does take discipline. There's another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So you'll be interested in this. Some traders, I'm pretty sure, Kev, I'm pretty sure he just does 1 trade a day. I think that might be good practice. Now, trading just 1 trade a day, I think that's got certain benefits. First and foremost, it takes discipline. First and foremost, it takes discipline to take 1 trade and walk away. There is a higher low there.
Order submitted. Order filled.
We got leg down, leg down. We are on an uptrend. Higher low above the EMA. Leg. That to me looks like it's pushing up. I kind of like that. It looks like it's going into a channel. It is a higher low. Right on the EMA, we've had 2 legs back. We're clearly in an uptrend. Well, uptrend stroke sideways. So let's see how we get on there. I may have misjudged that. Maybe we're coming further down here. I'll carry on talking in a minute. I'm going to give that 1 extra tick. Sometimes it saves your neck. I'm going to get out for break even here because I think. Let's just see if it triggers and pushes up. And where you come down for another leg, that's the problem. Let's put that back, see what happens. I'll give it an extra tick just to see if it saves me.
Stop filled.
Okay, it is what it is. Okay, so we seem to be pushing up. Leg. I thought that was going to push up for a higher low, but I think I got trapped there. So after we go along, short-term downtrend. Okay, I'm not paying attention. It's okay. It's not an issue. Where was I? Yeah, one trade a day. I think the beauty about having 1 trade a day is it teaches you discipline, and another beauty of it is you're only ever, if you have a loss, going to lose 1 trade a day. So you're not going to have multiple losses. So that's the second benefit. And the third benefit, I think if you know you've only got 1 trade a day throughout the whole of this 3-hour session, you'll probably wait for a better setup. So that kind of makes sense to me. I don't know what anybody else feels about that, but I think it's not bad practice to take 1 trade a day. Just to say to yourself, I'm going to take 1 trade a day, win or lose, 1 and done. Yeah. Yeah. As Kev says, yeah, 1 and done, or ninth floor. Another benefit is you won't have decision fatigue. Yeah. I think you'll probably, if you know you can only take 1 trade a day, probably wait for a better trade, because sometimes we sit here thinking maybe 2 or 3 trades, and I think as the time goes, you think time's running out, and you might not have as much time, and that might tend to push you into a maybe not as good trade. But if you say set yourself for 3 hours of trading, and I can only take 1 trade, I think you probably let a lot of crappy trades go by before you take a better setup. And if I look back on my trades, if you look back at my thumbnails, most of the time, I only take 1 trade a day. I would say probably 70, 80% of the time. So it's probably what I do. But making the decision to only take 1 trade a day, I think changes your mindset, and it says, okay, I've now got more time because I've only got to focus on 1. Let's sit back and wait for a better trade. So I think it's got good. I think it's a good idea. I don't know how everybody else thinks about that, but I think your win rate will probably be higher. Yeah, I just think it's a good idea personally. But let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea, you do it, or you can see a flaw with it at all. But it will teach you discipline, because if you take a 1 trade now, if I come on the stream and I take 1 trade in the first 5 minutes and win it, what I'll probably do is switch over to a sim, because I still think it's useful to get the screen time. And the beauty about trading on a sim, there's no stress there, is there? You can just sit and have a chat and that, and maybe just, even if I took a trade, okay, we got a leg and a leg, and we're right on this channel there. Let's keep an eye on this leg and a leg.
Order submitted.
Let's see how this goes. 2 legs back, bullish bar right off that trend channel. See how it see how it goes. Now, I know I'm only on a sim here, so I don't find them stressful. I've still got another 6 days to get $300 odd, so that's going to finish in NAF, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Order cancelled.
So, you don't have decision making. Yeah, I think it's got some good benefits personally. What I'd like to do is see this failure trigger and then maybe push up. So there's clearly 2 legs down. There was 2 legs there, which is why I went for the higher low. But am I looking at an uptrend here? Or is it more sideways? Have a look. I might be misjudging this. I think this is maybe more sideways. Let me have a look. Okay, we got this news coming up in 3 minutes. I keep forgetting about the news. Let's just get rid of this for a minute. So I think it's good practice, but what I am going to do is reduce to 1 contract, because I think if you get a loss in 2 contracts, I mean, I had a loss the other day. The bar was big. It was 4 points, so it's a $400 loss. And I was only up to $1,300, so I nearly lost a third of my pot in 1 trade. That has a certain effect. I mean, if you told any trader you took a trade and lost a third of your pot, an experienced trader if you lost a third of your pot in 1 trade, he'd call you an absolute moron. Why you're risking too much. So technically, I'm not risking 400 because I've only put 140 into the account on a PA account. So technically, it is, but it still has that same effect. Leg. So I'm certainly going to reduce my risk to 1 contract. I think that's better, and I'm just going to go for 3 points because I think, as I say, those 23 out of 25 trades that went for over 3 points, the trades that didn't were crap trades anyway, in all fairness. If you get a decent trade with a really strong setup, really strong signal bar, usually a lot of traders will get in that. And, as we know, you get a good setup and they do move and they should comfortably go for 3 points. So that's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I misjudged that one. It's more sideways, I think, at the moment. So we had a leg and a leg. And then a higher low. So I got trapped there. I didn't focus on what I'm doing. It did look like a channel there. Having said that, it looks just a sideways. So let me just put that back and let's just have a quick look at that. Yeah, we touched here. Perfect. And we had 2 legs back. So I thought, and when we came back close to this, a higher low, I thought that's going to take us a bit higher, but I just misjudged that. Leg and a leg. So news is coming up any second now. That's when someone mentioned the other day they trade the news on an evaluation, they buy and sell. So if you put a buy order and a sell order there, your buy order would have lost, but your sell order, it's got to go for 6. I always put it at 6.25 points. That gives you $3,000 plus an extra $50 to cover trading the remaining days, but you'd have gone short there and long at the same time. That one would have won the other one, so it's a 50-50 shot. But it's not everyone's cup of tea. I just mentioned it. Someone said they traded that way. Okay, so that's about over and done with. So I'm just going to bin that for now. So leg. Just see. So I think 2 contracts is just too much. Like I say, you have a large loss, quite a large bar, so that's interesting. So we got a leg up, 2 legs back, and we've come off the bottom. So I think push above the EMA. Let's see. I'm using 2 on evals, but I'm only using 1 contract on PAs. Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus. I think that makes sense. I think 2 is just too much. It's like anything. It makes sense to reduce your risk until the stress reduces, doesn't it? At least then you can use, you can trade sensibly. So it'd be nice to see that second entry short trigger. I wouldn't want to be going short there because there is a bit of support there, but possibly a push up, second entry long off the bottom. There's a triple bottom there. Let's see what's going on there. Okay, so nice channel there with an overshoot. That's interesting. So we got a leg up, 2 legs, it may be a leg back and a leg back, and maybe this is going to push upwards. See if we can get a higher low here. So there's a first entry. I like the way we've come off this bottom. Let's see if we can push up there and get a higher low. We've had an overshoot, so I think that's
Order submitted.
I like that.
Order filled.
There's a triple bottom there. What do I need? 400 or something. So let's bring it down to about 450. Take off 75. That would do it. Broken this bottom. Maybe trapped a few shorts. Yeah, I'm going to keep that there. I think there's a good chance of that getting hit. 450. That should give me my points.
Target
I'm just
filled.
going to get out for there. Okay, so I'm 1 trade away. So let's reduce that. It's probably going to push higher, but it's just, I've got 7 days to do it, so I'm not going to push me luck. I like the way we've had this channel down. We've had a clear overshoot, a push up. We've had 3 touches on the bottom. I take 1 trade only. That's because I've realised about 90% of my trades after a losing trade is also a loser. That's a really good point, Kev. I absolutely 100% agree with that, and I've said that before. I think when you lose a trade, the chance of you having another loss straight up goes up by 80, 90%. That's a good point, actually. So I think there's another benefit from that. I think that's a good point. You might allow yourself another trade if you had a winner. Okay, so there's another option. So maybe if you have 1 loss, you walk away. At least if you have a winner, if you're going for 3 points, you have a winner and you have a loss, you're even for the day. So what you're saying is basically if you have 1 loss in a day, you finish. And that enables you to only have to think about getting one. Because most of the time anyway, I tend to wait for good trades. So let me I only need 6 ticks there, 150, that will give me most of the time. So have a look at the hardest part. In fact, I might as well just take 2 trades instead of 1, mightn't I, and just go for 1 contract. Let's just go for 1 contract. For that'll get me $16 up. That's enough. There's no point in pushing me luck, is there? So 1 contract, 8 ticks. Let's just check that. Okay. The hard part is of accepting you will have more losing days, which is hard thing to swallow. Yeah. Keitry, Tom H says, best loser wins. I'm not a good loser yet, so I need to work on that. Tom H, is that because there's a book, isn't there? I've got it on audio. I've tried to listen to it a couple of times at night, but I keep falling asleep, so that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I believe, you guys have seen me trading long enough now to know I can trade, and I can take way more winning trades than losing trades, so that makes sense. I can clearly make money, but what affects me still is the losses. It's a great book, yeah. I've got it on my audio book here. Let's have a look. On Audible. It's called The Best Loser Wins Library. Where is it? Best Loser Wins. Tom Hoggard.
It always went lower and lower.
Yeah, that's it.
So what kind of advice was that?
Yeah, I'm going to read that again. Yeah, just if anybody doesn't have time for books sometimes, I think I like Audible. Sometimes to get my head in a book. I don't find the time to it, but I do find the time sometimes to listen to. But I've listened to all sorts of stuff, The Mental Game of Trading, Mastering Trading, The Intelligence Investor, The Psychology of Money, Moving Targets. Debbie Does... Oh, that's another thing now. There's all sorts of stuff. Just got 750 on that long. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Yeah, I was tempted to let it go, but I thought, well, what's the point in risk? I was up quite a chunk anyway. But yeah, we got that push up. Somebody mentioned earlier temporarily going down with a that makes sense. So we got a push up, 2 clear legs back. I like the fact that we'd owed an overshoot. We made a double bottom there, triple bottom there, which is why I just bought there. It is a second entry long. It is slightly congested, but someone did tell me once you can trade congestion as long as you know what's going on. So that makes perfect sense. Would I have taken that on a PA account? Probably not, because although I'm pretty sure I see what I'm doing, I still tend to wait for a setup. But there's a great example of getting out too soon. Yeah, it is. It is. Where did I get out there? Let me have a look. Okay, yeah, so... Yeah, so I got 2.5 points there, didn't I? But yeah, I was pretty sure it was going to do that. But you know, sometimes when you've had a couple of bad days, you think, am I reading it right? But yeah, I think there was a good chance that was going to get to the top. I come out around about here. But that's okay. No, I had more than that. 5, 6, 7. It was only 2.5 points. Oh, I got a little bit late. That's why. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but I mean, if you'd have got in there, I mean, it's hard to know. See, I have seen Mac trading on after overshoots, but the trouble is, although it looks like an overshoot, it was a spike in the news. I think the bit that made me go long there is after you've had a leg up and it looked like 2 legs back. And we had a double bottom there with a strong push up, and then we had a triple bottom there, which tells me this bottom is holding. So when that formed, that's why I just bought. When you had the bad day, you did a 3 flip trade in a very choppy zone. Trading that clearly. You hate to lose, but you have great potential to win, and you proved it. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I'm confident my trading skill is at a level where I can make money, but I still have this. No, it's okay. Don't worry. That's fine. I know what you're saying. It's mate. To be fair, I struggle with English. You know, honestly, it's my first language. No, it's okay. It's fine. You know, you clearly don't use English, but you can clearly tell me exactly what you need to get over, and that's better than I can do in any other language, put it that way. So, But yeah, it is the most written about. I mean, there's so many books about trading, but there's equally as many. We speak Arabic and French. You are from Morocco, yeah. Yeah, it is weird that I find a lot of people, a lot of Europeans or Middle Easterns tend to speak their native tongue, English, and maybe French or a couple of other languages. But I know English, the British people are quite ignorant when it comes to languages. We tend to think everyone else will speak our language and I don't have to bother learning, but it's not the case. But no, you've got it over. But yeah, you make a good point. I feel like my skill level is up, but I really struggle with taking a loss. It just... and I think that might probably be down to the fact that I'm just risking too much. Mac only takes 4 ticks, top and bottom. It's easy then. One of his live trade picks bottom. Do you know the thing is, though? What I'll say is I had a piece of paper here. I went back over the last 105 trades. This was before Christmas that Mac took. Out of 105 trades, there was only 2 trades which didn't make over 2 points. So, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Might be beneficial to you. Yeah, I think that's a good point. So, I can take a couple of trades, but as soon as I have a loss, I've just got to get in the habit of walking away. I tend to think with time that stress will reduce, and it probably will. But at the moment, it's not doing me any favours. It's getting me into trouble. So, yeah, change to evals. Change to evals. It sounds like I'm on an eval now. It says more swing traders, I think, use scalps just to cover their payment for it. Yeah, I agree with that as well. If you like Mac and you can afford to, say, trade 15 contracts as a point and then trade 5 as a runners, I'd bet anything he'd make more money in his runners. So if you're able to do that, the trouble is when you're only trading 1 or 2 contracts, it's difficult to do. You can't. The only way you can do it is to go down to micros. A PA, leave and go on to an eval, come back the next day. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, actually, or even onto a sim. I still like to trade because, I'm still learning and I think it's still important to get the screen time. There is a possibility of a higher low there. Well, actually, it's a second entry long off. Why isn't I buying
order
second
submitted.
entry long off the key entry point? It's not pushing as strong as I'd liked.
Order
It's
filled.
quite a small risk, I think. It's quite a small risk, so let's just leave that. It is a second entry long. It's off the key entry point. We do seem to be moving up. It's only $100 risk. Let's just leave it. It is a second entry long. We've had this push up. We've had a break of it. Yeah, I've just got to take it and leave it, haven't I? So we got a channel up there. Clearly, second entry long, comfortably out before the long. So I'd expect that to work. It is a nice second entry long. It's a tick off. Go on, push through. Surely that'll push through. It's only a tick away. Actually, I think I need another tick on top of that, don't I?
Target filled.
Okay, that's passed by $40. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, I mean, we got a leg up there, 2 legs back, push up, break, clearly a second entry long, off the key entry point, out before the tops. So, yeah, I ummed and ahed about that. Is it a bit congested? But it's not really. Go down, bit sideways down, so there's 2 clear little legs. See, a lot of times on 2 contracts, I get a bit nervous and might not take that. And then when I look at the Facebook group, every other trader takes it. So sometimes reducing my contract, I think would probably be a good idea. Let's just see if that made 3 points, just out of curiosity. So where did I get in? Okay, so I got in right on the nail. So let's just see if that does make 3 points. Let's see if that would make my 3 points. Let's put that there. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll just be 1 second. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, I just wanted to see if this makes 3 points. I actually got in on the nail, but in all fairness, I think it'd probably be a better decision. That might hold. Usually strong positions hold. Sometimes you've got to leave it, but I do wonder sometimes whether you're best off if you do take a trade to at least get out by the highs. If there's 3 points comfortably, that's fine. If there's not, maybe still get out. But my experience is if you get a strong bar, usually the stops hold. So maybe this is just 2 legs, bounce off here again. So it might still work. Often a strong position stop does remain intact. So let's just see if it does. So there's the bottom of the bar. Let's just see if this makes 3 points. That was a nice trade. I forgot to draw the channel. Yeah. Well, my impression of the day is we got a leg up. We got 1, 2 legs back. Bounced off here. An overshoot. So I expected a strong push up, and we did. So let's just see what happens. Maybe a leg and leg. See if that does hold. See, there's me taking 3 points, but I think sometimes it's still important to maybe get out for the highs. Well, let's see if it does work. It's got to get 1 tick below here. But there again, perhaps this is just, perhaps people are just treating this as an overshoot. Going back after the second entry long, we got a triple test with a long. Yeah. See, a triple test, I would prefer a triple test 1, 2, 3 down here. Let's see if that holds or breaks below. Yeah, smash below. So there was definitely traders in there. So I think the option is just to get out before the highs. So even if I got out with 2 points there, comfortably made that. But yeah, it is finding support there, isn't it? So comfortably made 2 points, but that was one of the ones that didn't make 3. Actually bounced off it. Maybe reversal, you never know. See, you could treat that so many different ways, couldn't you? 2 legs back and a continuation up, or a fail breakout. As we know, most breakouts fail, and that does seem to be sort of ranging to a degree. So yeah, that wouldn't have made 3 points. I actually got in there, so it wouldn't have pushed through, which is a shame. But maybe in something like that, it's still important to get out before the tops, even if you say, okay, let's just take 2.5 points and get out. I always like to get out at the tops of the bars, not the wicks. So let's say on something like this, maybe range, yeah, maybe just get out for 2.5 points. So there's a second entry long there, so let's mark that one. There, wasn't it? Let's mark that as a second entry long, and that one. So that certainly went for 3 points, that didn't. In all fairness, going off the bottoms here, you don't have to worry about the 3 point mark really, do you? But when you're going into highs as like that, probably best come out a couple of ticks early, so that would make sense. But yeah, I think my level, I mean, I've been trading 3 years now. I think my skill level is enough to make money, but I still have this difficulty with losses, as most people do. So my skill, I think, will just naturally improve as I trade. But I think I need to work a bit more on the psychology. And I think one thing that will help that is reducing my risk to one contract. And also having a new policy that if I take one loss, I quit for the day, or go onto a sim or onto an evaluation, as someone mentioned. You mentioned evaluation, someone did. Maybe have an evaluation in the background or something, or just go onto a sim just for the airtime. I think 3 point target work mostly for reversal patterns. Oh, yeah, points. But when we have a break, it's 8 or 9 ticks. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the important part here is to get out before the tops. So I always like to get out there, not have it higher than there. I mean, that would have worked. I got in right on the nail. So, in fact, I got a bit lower than that. I actually got in there. So, yeah, 2.5 points, that would have worked. Or even 2 points. Sometimes it's just not worth messing around, is it? I've got to say, if you look at a lot of my trades, trading 2 contract, let's just have a quick look. A lot of my trades I got out for a point because I lost my confidence. So even if I go for 2 points, I'm probably still going to be better off. But let's just have a look at these. 1.5 points. I'll put it back in a second. So yeah, 1 point, 1.5 points, 1.5 points, 2 ticks. I remember that one went actually for a hell of a lot. So, you know what I mean? So a lot of mine I do get out early. So I think maybe keep it at 6 ticks. Well, that's a thought. I need to go on to a sim now. There's no point in trade anymore of it. My target there, so that's 2 days. So I've got a few more days there. So the whole point of the book, Best Loser Wins, is to become comfortable being very uncomfortable. Yeah, I've heard that phrase before, actually. That's interesting. Yeah, I've heard that phrase before. It's about being uncomfortable with feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that again tonight. I've had the book about a month or two, maybe a bit longer, and I've tried listening a couple of times, but I tend to fall asleep. So I'm going to go to bed a bit earlier tonight and make a point of listening to it all. It's not the best signal bar there, but after the overshoot and the triple test, it's probably not the worst one out there. And I think coming off the bottoms with the overshoot, I think the chance of us hitting this level is pretty high anyway. But with an overshoot, as we know, often it has the same break in the other direction. So maybe I should, when I took that one, I mean, it worked anyway, but rather than go for 3 points there, I think it's important to think, well, we have had a range. Most breakouts fail. So, but it's weird though, that it did continue on up, because there's obviously traders are buying that, which is why it pushed. And then obviously the next bar form, we had a quick drop, didn't we? I know one trader that only implements runners when he expects a reversal. He scalps all. I think that's important as well. I've got to say, I do see Thomas Wade's trade, and it frustrates me sometimes, because I did a trade the other day and it went 6 points and then came back and took him out for break even. So whereas Mac, I think, generally follows up each bar, each swing, but I think Thomas Wade sort of put me off thinking about runners, because I see him lose so many points. But I don't know, we've all got to make our own decisions. But the thing is with runners, you need a certain amount of contracts before you can take them. But I think that's a good point, actually. If you think we're going to push off with the overshoot from here, then that's probably a good idea. Take your scalp here and take the runner to the top, because the chances are after the overshoot and the triple bottom here, it's going to, I think you could say that's going to happen 8 or 9 times out of 10, that it's going to at least get to the tops. And that's, I suppose, where you make your runner, get your runner up here. Thomas trades 7 contracts on a scalp and 6 of them. Yeah, he does, yeah, and leaves the one runner. Yeah, I suppose if you're going to... The trouble is, I get what he's doing. He's trying to wait for the bigger run, but I'll see him lose 2 trades, 5 or 6 points, and effectively he's missed an 11-point runner there. I know it might only be 5 or 6 at the time, and that would frustrate me. It frustrates me to see him doing that, because I'm thinking... He got into a trade the other day, and I'm thinking, take your money. And it came back, and he lost 5.5 points, but I don't know. The trouble is, I'm thinking, how many points is he trying to get before he takes his profit? 7 contracts would be a huge loss. Yeah, it would. But yeah, I mean, like Max says, it's a personal thing. Everybody, each to their own. So are we having this second leg up now? Maybe we are. But I definitely rate Thomas Wade as a good trader. I just wish he'd take some of his profits on his runners a bit, but it's down to everybody, isn't it? It's ultimately it's your own decision. So we got a leg up there, 2 legs, second entry along, which clearly worked. Went up there. You'd have got. I mean, if you got in 1 tick above it, you'd have got 2.5 points. So I think 2 points is probably ample, because especially after this breakout of the range, as we know, most breakouts will fail. Which might mean, is that a sensible trade to take? That's why, if I see something like this, I tend to refer to Mac's chart later just to see if he took that. And it makes sense. We've got a leg up, 2 legs of correction, 2 legs back and a push up. The only thing I'll say that would be slightly negative towards that is, as we know, most breakouts fail, so it might not work. Tend to trail my stop with runners, sometimes too close, but it's beyond my scalp. It's just a bonus to me. Yeah, I get that. But I would say, actually, Mac probably makes more money from his runners, because obviously Mac's very experienced in these charts, and he can see things that might take us a little bit longer, that are worth holding and giving a certain amount of room. But obviously it depends what market it is, what type of market. If it's doing something like this all day, then obviously that's where you're going to make your money. If you've got the foresight to get in there 5, 10, 15, 12, I mean, technically he could get 2 weeks of profit scalps in one runner, theoretically. I have started to use Tradeovate too. I like this a lot and can finally use my Mac. Tradeovate. I've never tried Tradeovate. Is it? How is it different? Is it better than NinjaTrader or just different? I'm pretty sure doesn't what's it use Tradeovate? Alpine Trader. The frustrating thing about the Alpine Trader is he won't let you see he won't tell you his his strategy. He trades the open somehow, but he doesn't tell you because his fear is that Apex will ban him. I don't know why, but he trades the open. So, and he tends to be very successful at it, I've got to say. He always seems to be, it's just different, yeah. He always seems to be a few $100 up, but he won't show you his what's it? Ninja is better, but a lot better drawing tools. But when you are used to this trading style, trade away, it's good. Yeah. No, I've never tried it. I've used the only other platform I've used before is MetaTrader 4, I think it was, for to trade currency. The only frustrating thing about NinjaTrader is if you're going to use the sim and you want all the ATM strategy, you got to pay for the license, which is $1,000. You don't like MT4. I used it for about 6 months. Just like Ninja. Yeah, I only used MetaTrader 4 when I was trading currency because it was how I learned, and the guy that taught me, that's what he used. So I just sort of followed suit, really. Possible second entry long there. Is this going up? We've come down, quite possibly.
Order
I'm only on a
submitted.
sim now anyway, so no damage to be done. No, I'm going to leave that.
Order cancelled.
So look, it may come down, may have a leg and retest this. Just trade of 8 for trading and trading view for more chat. Yeah, I used to use trading view. I'd use MetaTrader 4 for to execute all the trades, and I'd use trading view to do all your chart analysis. Yeah, I was talking earlier about maybe changing my tick chart, but I think I'm better off just reducing my risk, really. I don't know whether trading the 3,000 or 4,000 tick chart makes any difference. I suppose you would think there would be less setups. I don't know. See, on the 4,000 tick chart, there's that bar there. Yeah, see, we got the second entry long here. This is the 4,000 tick chart. We haven't got it. That's where it is. 2 legs back, but it's not. Is that it? So we had this leg, 2 legs back. There's the push up there. Yeah, second entry long there. We didn't get nothing there. So there's probably less trades on here. I did wonder whether it's just because it's fast moving that it stresses me out. I think it's more that I'm risking too much, I think. Okay, I'm glad I left that now because we could get a couple of legs back. I didn't want to trade it just because I was on a sim, because it's, I would think the risk would be a lot greater on a high. Yeah, it naturally would be. At the moment, it's 2.14 the ATR, and on the 4,000 tick chart, it's 3. So you obviously have to you have to adjust your contract size accordingly. The reason I thought about it is maybe the moves are a bit slower. With 2,000 tick chart, each one of these representing 2,000 ticks on that, obviously it would represent twice as much. So effectively, each bar would take about twice as long, or should do, which would slow it down a little bit. But it's not so much that I haven't got the skills as a trader, I can't win trades, because I was trading at about 93% win rate until I had that big loss. Now that took me down to about 88% or 85%. Now, if I'd have been able to deal with that loss and just come back, I'd have probably carried on right. But it's the losses that do me the damage. So it makes sense to reduce down to 1 contract. It's still plenty enough, really. I suppose you're risking 125, 150, somewhere between $125 and $150 per trade. It's a shame, really, that if I got the skills to trade, but because I'm risking too much, it's it's effectively causing me to fail. Let's see if that held. Why would you trade now? I've switched over onto a sim, bud. It's just a sim, this. I've passed that, so I'm just on a sim. I'm just on here just to get the trade time, the screen time, and just a bit of a chit-chat. I won't trade for long. I'll do about another 45 minutes, but it's just to get the chart time. It's, you know, it's still valuable just to get the more chart time, isn't it? Crossover looks very interesting. CMYK and Silicon. Crossover looks very interesting. I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Crossover. Frozen in motion. I use Sierra charts using on... Oh, I see what you mean via crossover. I use Sierra charts using it on Mac via crossover. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how I started, to be honest with you. I had a MacBook Pro, an older MacBook Pro. It was about 4-year-old. And I couldn't trade Ninja Trader on it, so I downloaded a copy of Windows and put that on it. What was it called? Windows something or other. Boot Camp or something. Does that make sense? Boot Camp. But yeah, I could just flip between. What's it? Did Matt talk about trading the MES recently? Is the MES 1000 tick chart? I think that's what it is. So I'll just do it for you. So there's the. Let's just bring him over. So let's just put that there. So there's the 1000 tick chart of the ES. Oh no, it's MES, isn't it? Sorry, of the MES. So this almost looks identical, to be fair. So let's just, yeah. So we had that push up, leg and a leg. We had the same leg and a leg. That pull back, and then the push up, the spike and channel with the overshoot. So if you look at it, if you look at this section here and this section here, they're almost identical, really, with the sake of the odd little tick. We had that same bottom in pattern there. We had 3 touches here, triple test. That was more of a bearish pin bar, whereas that was a full bearish bar. I was looking at this and thinking, we got the overshoot. A lot of the times we'll have an attempt to go higher. So I just marked this as a 1-to-1 with that bearish bar there. And that eventually worked. And that one there, thinking we were going to come back to this line. So, but yeah, Mac are using. Yeah, 950, 1,000 probably won't look much different, but it's pretty much identical, that, in all fairness. So if you are trading the MES for micros, yeah, it's not much different, which is good, because otherwise it would get confusing if you're watching someone on a the minis. That was another one. That was the one I lost, wasn't it? There, lost that one, won that. It's pretty close. Yeah, it is pretty close. I mean, I think, yeah, if I bring it in there, if you look at this, that finished 1 tick above there, whereas on the 1,000 they were sort of equally. But yeah, if you look at the two together, you're hard pushed to tell the difference. Really, there's not a huge amount. But obviously, then you got the ability to just trade a micro. I often wondered about putting maybe a few $100 of my own money in there, because I think to trade micros with your own account, I think you're gonna have $50 per micro. So if you put $200 in there and trade a couple of micros, it's a great way of moving up from that next level, from being on a sim for a year or so, maybe because you want a bit of risk, just to try. Because ultimately, the most difficult part of trading is dealing with the psychological side, and the only way you have that is to have risk. Unfortunately, and obviously risk as a new trader comes with loss. It exposure to losing money. So this to me looks like a bit of a bull flag. See what happens here. Can you explain me something about Indian market? I know nothing about the Indian markets, bud. To be honest with you, all I've ever traded before is currency and the ES. Occasionally, I dabble and look at the NQ, but any type of Indian markets, I don't even know what's available on the Indian markets, if that's what you mean. You're done. Akitri, yeah, take it easy, bud. So we've got a channel down there, maybe a little overshoot. And we're retesting this top. So I like the way we've pushed out. It does look like a bit of a bull flag, doesn't it? Maybe a bit of an overshoot retesting this, I don't know. See, there is a possibility we could move that range to there, and that may be a failed breakout. Yeah, I've passed that evaluation. I've just moved over to a sim, just in case anybody doesn't know. So yeah, so I think that was okay, wasn't it? Leg down, retesting these. We've had a bit of an overshoot after this channel. You'd expect to push up, and it did, so I took a trade there. When we got to the top, nice second entry long. The trouble is I had my range top down there, which was a bit of a breakout of it at the time, and often most breakouts fail, but it certainly pushed enough to get at least 2 points from there. So I often wonder whether it's worth taking those trades sometimes, because initially I had my range top about there, I think. I'm your subscriber from Indian. Ah, excellent. Good for you. Good on you. Are you a cricket fan? I always ask that people from India because they're usually cricket nuts over there. I'm a cricket fan myself. But I've never seen more passionate people. I know England are in India at the moment, and we're doing well. We've had a good start, shall we say, which is unusual because playing in India, usually absolutely deadly. In all fairness, so I think we may have had a bit of luck there. So lots of love to you, my friend. Lots of love. Always welcome the Indians. I love the Indian people. What a great culture. I've worked with Indian people in the past. And they just tend to want to feed you. I love that. They used to turn up to work every day with a big bag of samosas. I'm Royal Enfield fan. Are you really? Yeah, they're great, the Indian people. They're very friendly. But they just want to feed you. I love that one. I love that one. Frozen Motion. I used to make cricket bats. Did you really? Interesting. The cricket bat makers that I know, I'm not sure where they're from. I know you've got what's the one? I can picture it, the name. It's like a guy's name. It's not just something Jules. I can't remember now. Obviously you've got Kookaburra, haven't you? Had my own business sold. Really? Before moving to Australia? Oh, fantastic. I'm a big cricket fan. I love my cricket. It's a great game, especially if the sun's shining. You can sit there with some beers, and it's just a great day out. And the thing I like about cricket is when you lose slowly, so it doesn't have that crippling feeling like in a football game. In a football game, you can be up 1 minute and down the next, and it's just such an emotional roller coaster. But that's interesting, really interesting. Yeah, one of my prized possessions is a signed cricket ball from the great late Shane Warne. An absolute legend who sadly passed away a year and a half ago, something like that. Absolute legend. Great guy. What you see is what you get. But yeah, real shame. Cricket bats, interesting. Is it willow, isn't it? Do they use willow? I can't think now. But no, what a fantastic game, cricket. I know you US guys don't know a lot about it, really, do you? I don't know whether things have changed. I remember seeing Freddie Flintoff, an English cricketer, on... Who was it? He was on a chat show. And who was on there? I think it was What's Its Wife. I was an Uber driver in San Francisco and drove many folks India around. Really interesting. Yeah, there's something about India that it's raw. It just looks incredible. Yeah, there's a few places I'd like to go in my life. Australia is one of them. South Africa is another, and India as well. English willow, yeah. The name is Alex Selby. Interesting. What is that? The Latin name or something, is it? Interesting. Yeah. That's why I love doing this stream. You just never know who you're going to talk to. No, it's a great game, cricket. But no, the US don't know a great deal about it. I think my wife's from South Africa. We own a property in Mozambique. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I'd love to go. In fact, I have on my Facebook page, you might recognise this. This is Newlands Stadium. Where's my Facebook page? Newland, there we go. Just get rid of that. This is Newlands Stadium in South Africa. You got Table Mountain as the bar. I mean, there's just... Can you imagine sitting there with the sun blasting down with a nice beer and... I fish with cricket. But Table... I mean, look at that for a view. Sat in a beautiful cricket. Think of the history in that cricket ground and Table Mountain. Sitting there all day with a beer. Oh, there's just... It looks incredible. Nothing compares to Cape Town. No, it's amazing, that is. I mean, that's Cape Town, if anybody doesn't know South Africa, but Table Mountain, it just looks incredible, that does. And that's one of my ambitions, to go there. And Australia as well. To watch in Australia, same again in India as well. They're all sort of absolute passionate about cricket. Unbelievable, isn't it? South Africa's epic. Yeah, it does sound like it. It does sound. I am a member of the Barmy Army, which, if in case anybody doesn't know, it's just the UK supporters club. They're just crackers, but they just follow England all around the world, and but it's a great game. It really is. And your list located in India will be an amazing experience. Oh, brilliant! You should also. Located in India will be amazing experience. Yeah, I know. England are playing in India at the moment. In fact, they've just won the first test, which is quite unusual because in India, playing at home are absolutely deadly. I don't think many teams have beaten England in a test match have beaten India in a test match in India. They're absolutely deadly. I come from Argentina. I will take you to brilliant, amazing. There are some fantastic places around the world. There really are, and not just sporting venues with cricket, just sporting venues in general. But I like history as well, and history and sport and all that sort of stuff sort of go together hand in hand, don't they? But there are some fantastic places around. There really are. But yeah, India, Australia and South Africa are on my list of places to go. And I will do at some point. I did consider going to Australia next year for the Ashes. Is it next year? Is it the year after? No, I think it's next year. It's next year for the Ashes, which is Marrakesh as well. Tangier, Morocco, Marrakesh. Yeah, that's another place steeped in history, isn't it? Rawness as well. Unbelievable, isn't it? There are some fantastic places around the world. I mean, if you're a traveller or you like your travelling, unbelievable. I've not done a huge amount of travelling. I've never been to the US. I've been to Cuba. Spent a few weeks in Cuba. I've been to Africa. Went to Africa. Got married in Africa. The food in Morocco. Yeah, I'm a big foodie as well. I'm a big foodie. Yeah, see, Morocco's Africa, isn't it? North Africa. Best figs in Marrakesh. I'm not a fig fan. I hate figs, but I love dates. Something about figs that just don't work with me, but dates I love. But there are some amazing places around. There really is. I've got a relative that did a lot of work in Israel and goes there quite often. He's forever asking me to go with him. But it's probably not the best place to travel to at the moment, Israel. But there are some incredible places around. I know my daughter wants to go to Italy, so we may go there this year. Dates, not fake. Oh, dates, yeah. They're lovely dates. I love them. It's like eating a big, soft, chewy toffee, isn't it? Yeah, they're quite addictive, dates are. But yeah, they are amazing. It's turning into like a travel show, this, isn't it? Dates, figs, and types of fruit, yeah. But no, I've not done. I've been around Europe a little bit. I've been to Turkey, lived in Cyprus for a couple of years. I've been to Egypt, but not Mallorca. Been to a few places, not massively. But if Kenya was amazing. We flew to the Masai Mara and did a safari. That's incredible. If you like animals, wild animals. Incredible. That was brilliant, that was. I got married out there. I'm surprised. I thought we were going to have a bigger push up there. We sort of had this leg up, didn't we? We had sort of one leg back in the way of two legs and then another two legs. And then I thought this might have a break. And when I saw that, I thought it's going to retest this top and rock it up. But it's gone more like... so I'm surprised. I thought we would have that other leg up, but maybe we'll at some other point. Let's get rid of that. So at the moment, we do just seem to be ranging. The century is always tough to get through. Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah, round numbers. People tend to like round numbers, don't they? That makes perfect sense. So, correctly if I'm wrong, we have been up here, but we haven't broken that 5,000 yet, have we? I think that's about as high as we've been. So, yeah, we've never been up here before. I think that is probably a high. In fact, I'll be best off, and it makes sense as we've hit that. We've tried again and again, and then we had that big sell-off, so it's probably advisable to put that on my chart and leave it there. So let's call them, I think we have got no like all-time highs, and let's lock that. Extend right. It's probably useful to know if we come back to that all-time highs. I thought we'd been higher than that before, but I don't think we have, or it's very close to it. Yeah, of course, I didn't think about that. The 900. So, well, we'll get a big drop here. I wonder if we get a... See, what I will say, looking on the daily, we had this bit of a range, then we had a push up, and quite often we'll come back and retest this, so we could have quite a bit more of a drop. We had that big bearish day yesterday. It may even continue a bit, maybe a little pullback. It may even continue down to test these tops, which is probably going to take us... Well, that's where the bearish bar finished. If I just get that daily, that's where the bearish bar finished here, so it could go down maybe another, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 points, something like that. So it's possible. So, but we have got this bottom here, so I'll be interested to see whether that holds. So, Yeah, that was a mistake. That was. I had too focused on the uptrend. I think that was okay. Maybe not the perfect. I mean, it is a second entry long. It is a bit congested, but you would expect that to hold. We've got a double bottom there, a triple bottom there. But I think probably might be wise to wait for this to break and start to push. Maybe come in here. And that one as well. I'd take that again. Although we are a bit of a range, you'd certainly expect that to work, and it did. For depending where you got into it, I mean, it went up for 2 points. So you'd have got 2.5 points out of that if you, as long as you'd have come out before the tops. That'd have been a trade there. So yeah, if anybody has just come into the room, I've passed that evaluation there. So I've just switched on to a sim just to finish the next. So what I'm going to do, we're an hour and a half. I'll do about another 20 minutes or so. It's always good to have the screen time, I think. So we seem to be holding here. So I'd expect that possibly to at least get close to the EMA, whether it does take off. But the trouble is you don't know whether, because of this breakout here, we're going to get the same here. So that long might not be safe. So I would tend to avoid that and maybe take the high-low. It might hold, but a lot of times that's a bit dangerous. Who here can trade and listen to music? Interesting comment, that is. The odd time I've traded, or I used to trade before the stream, I used to listen to a bit of jazzy types. I'm not really a jazz fan, really, but coffee shop jazz, you know, the stuff that plays in a coffee shop, because I found that quite relaxing. Christmas sort of coffee shop jazz is sort of quite nice. I'm not really a jazz fan, I wouldn't say, but I do find it quite relaxing to listen to when you're trading. Let's see if that holds. Yeah, personally, I wouldn't take that one because I think it's risky, especially the way this is coming down. Yeah, there you go. If I was going to trade this off the bottom, I'd wait for the high low because you just never know what that's going to do. So, lows of the days are down here. As I mentioned, when I dragged that in there, we could come down and retest this. So you'd certainly think there's a good chance of it happening. So we've had that big push down yesterday. We've started off with a little pullback, but it does seem to be rejecting it, doesn't it? It's pretty steeply going down there, so I think there's a good chance we may end up touching this at some point. So you could argue that channel is already at a break. I think the safe bet is to leave it like that just for now. Yeah, so when this PA does start, I will finish. In fact, what I'll do depends. If it's over an hour, I'll finish for the day. Otherwise, I'll switch straight over to a sim. The beauty about me doing a sim is I'm still at the chart. So the trouble is, you don't know sometimes whether people are going to finish the stream and then try and carry on trading. It's something I've done in the past. If I've lost a trade, sometimes I'll finish the stream and carry on trading, which I don't want to do. So if I do lose a trade, probably best to switch over onto a sim for even 15, 20 minutes, just to relax a bit. Led Zeppelin come. For some people, maybe. Well, you never know, do you? Some people do sort of find that type of stuff calming. Thunder of the gods. I used to like heavy stuff when I was younger. Marillion I was a big fan of Marillion when I was younger. I used to listen to sort of some AC/DC and stuff like that, but not for years. Okay, so this to me looks like a break. So I think probably best off personally to consider that a break and a new low rather than think about looking for a short here, because it may trap you. It may come down. It's certainly something I'm not going to do at the moment. Even though I'm on a sim, I've still got to trade it like a real account. So there is 2 legs up. It is a second entry short. We've got the 1 push up and it's broken above there. So it is a second entry short, technically. 1 leg, 2 leg. But we have had a break, so I'm not automatically assuming we're coming down. As we know, if we're after a break, we could start moving the other direction. 3 doges. Yeah. Could do anything really, couldn't it? So after a break, there's obviously a good chance or we could move in the other direction. Obviously depends whether it's really bearish or not. But I think there's a fair chance this is just range day mainly at the moment. So there is a higher low there. So I think there's a good chance that will push up to the EMA. So let's see that break above there if it works.
Order submitted.
I'm only on a sim, so...
Order filled.
So... Now that is a second entry short, but we've had a break in my opinion, so I think it's not something I would take. There is a higher low, so I think there's a good chance we get back to the EMA, but as I say, I'm only on a sim. Not that it's an excuse to take a stupid trade, but it is a higher low. So let's see if this holds. I wouldn't take a short there anyway, way too far from the EMA, way too far from the bottom of this range. In the case like that, if it does finish bearish, I would expect that to trigger and quite likely push straight up. So we'll see if this does hold. Now, would I go for 3 points here? If we're retesting this bottom, probably not. But let's push it to 3 points anyway and just see if it does work. Let's see if I'd like to see that trigger because I think it's got more chance in pushing up if it triggers. I think we'll not back to the range. No, maybe not. Okay, as triggered now, and the way that's pushing up would stop that out. I wouldn't take a short there because it's way too far from the EMA, so I think a trade like that would be very, very risky. And as I'm going long, I kind of like that. So there's a failure there. So if that breaks above there, I'd certainly expect to retest this bottoms. It's probably going to, I think. There's no way on God's earth I'd take that as a short because I think it's risky. Pardon me. So... See, if I'm looking on the MES, that actually would sort of fit. No, it still has a break. I don't know. You could say that is all in one. We've got a touch here, touch here. I think it's safer to assume we've had a break, which means it might not necessarily come down short. But it is getting congested. think when it's like this, it does get a bit trappy. It can trap you. So it may trap you there. We'll see. So there's a failed second entry short there. I'd expect it to get back to the EMA, if not here. So maybe it's good for 2 points, but not 3. Because it could come back here and then reverse and then carry on down. So that would probably be the safer option to get out. I'm just leaving it just to see if it does it for 3 points. Because as we know, most breakouts fail. Yeah, it should hit that. Don't fail me now, not by 1 tick, especially after that one did. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? That one did exactly the same. It went right up to 3 ticks and didn't push through. That's done the same. So there's my that would blow my theory out the water. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. That would blow my theory out the water. Going for 3 ticks is a good idea. Okay, I'm hoping that triggers short, in which case I expect it to push up. Let's see if it does. It doesn't trigger, is it? Or is it now? No, it has. I'd expect that to push up now. After the break and the new low, higher low failure, I'd expect to push back into the range. It's closed above the EMA anyway. Let's see if it works. The good thing is, if it ticks above there, it'll trigger me anyway. So it's in the perfect place, really, if it works. It's not moving as quick as I'd have thought. I think we will not be back in the range. Yeah, you might be right here, mate. In all fairness, I think 3 points there is probably not the sensible idea. Getting back to the bottoms is. That would have made... Yeah, that would have comfortably made 2 points. I'm just testing my theory. So isn't it ironic as me talking about 3 points, and twice now it hit 3 points but didn't push through? Weird, isn't it? And the one time you start talking about it, and twice in a row it doesn't work. I'm only on a sim anyway, which is why I've left it. I was just testing my theory of 3 points. I mean, we've got a bit to go to the lows of the day, so it could come down a bit. 12 ticks is stressful. Try 9 or 10. Yeah, I know Thomas Wade does too, doesn't he? See, the theory was, in the last 25 trades I've taken, only 2 of them didn't make 3 1/4 points. And the numbers don't usually lie. Now, obviously, on this occasion, it didn't push through. This is not over yet, but from what I'm seeing... it may not work. So the thing is, what I was trying to do is, instead of risking 2 contracts and only end up taking 1.5 points, risk 1 contract, so I'm only risking half the amount. That's probably going to trigger up and give a low high. So I'm risking half the amount but taking twice as much profit. Reduce your win. Not by much though. If I looked at my trades over the last 25 trades, it would have worked out I'd have been over $2,000 better off trading on 2 contracts, because I was averaging taking 1.5 points. Whereas if I waited to the 3, there's a lower higher. If I waited to the 3, 23 times out of 25 it would have worked, and it still worked out. I'd have been over $2,000 better off. So I think, you know, it goes without saying, doesn't it, that most of the time it's not going to work. Most of the time it'll work, but obviously on occasion it won't. But if you're taking 3 points as opposed to 1.5 points, every 3 trades, you can effectively lose one of those. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. There is a lower high there, but I don't think I'd take that lower high, even if I wanted to, because we've had this break and it could push up and sting you. I don't like the stem there, and it is a bit congested. But after breaking the lows of this range, depending on where you look at it. I wouldn't take that personally, but it may work. Probably will work, but we'll see. I'm only leaving it because I'm on the sim. I mean, I'd have got out. I'd have gone out earlier otherwise. It doesn't reduce it by much. It's surprising, actually. I'd say it's like about 88%. Something like that. But if you're making double the amount of profit, you know, if I'm trading 2 contracts and I get $300 instead of $150, theoretically, every 2 trades, if I win 2 and then lose 1, I'll still be the same off. I'll give that an extra tick, see if it helps it. We'll see, because I'd like to see if that'll break, trigger and break, but yeah. So,
Stop
yeah.
filled.
I thought as much. So, yeah, it does look like... Yeah, so that would have worked for 2 points. In all fairness, I wouldn't have taken that on a... I wouldn't have taken that on a PA anyway, because although it is a higher low, I just don't like these wicks. It's a little bit choppy. I was just testing a 3-point thing, really. So... Yeah, see, that one wouldn't just... But in all fairness, going into that support, I wouldn't have waited anyway. But if you go back trades, it's surprising how many do. And if you're doubling your profit every time, see, another one I tend to look at Marco's charts as well. So just out of, where are we? Just out of quick test, so so out of this, if I look at Marco's chart for here, he won't mind. Let's look at this. That one clearly went for 3 points. That one I don't think would have done. It might have done. 2 points. It may have done, actually. 3 points. Yeah, because it's spiked down. So that may have done. That one would. That one I think would have done as well. So that's one chart. So if I look at the next one of his, that made 3 points. That made 3 points. That made 3 points. That one did. Big spike. That one did. That one did. Can't see that one. So if I made double profits, if I made $150 and $150 extra, I'm up $300. So even if I win 2 and lose 1, I'd still be better off. But if I look at his next chart, that made 3 points. That made 3 points. Let's have a look at his next chart. I use Marco because I think he's a good trader. Let's have a look. That made 3 points, and that one made 3 points. So if you're doubling your profit every time, that made 3, that made 3, that made 3. When I say 3, obviously a lot more in most cases. Where's his next chart? Okay, that made 3, that made 3, that made 3, that made 3. Yeah, comfortably. Everything on there would have made 3. So you're up about 12 or 13 straight away. So if that's an extra $1,600 straight away, that's, I'd say it didn't come back. Yes, there's 2. Yeah, that made 3. That made 3. That's hard to say there. So there's 1.5 points. So that may not have made, oh yeah, it came down again. So that would have made 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. So that clearly made 3. So it is surprising that it didn't tick above there. matching highs. So both of those would have made 3. That made 3, and that made 3 points. That was mine. It's you'll be glad to know it's only about here now, half full. I hope I'm not boring you. But it's just out of curiosity. That made 3 points. Yep, that made 3. That's 2, 3. From here to there, possible. That's a question mark. But that's the first one in about 20 odd. Why can I not shut that down? We've looked at that one, didn't we? Is that Marcos? Yeah. That one clearly made 3. Just did 1 trade on that day. Let's have a look. Probably speed this up a bit. Same again. That one did. That one probably wouldn't have done. That one did. That one did. So in about the last 30 trades I've marked, maybe a bit more, 2 of them wouldn't have done. That one would have done, that one would have done, and got in there. There's 3 points. Yeah, comfortably. That made 4, that one. So you got 1, 2, another 3 there. Both of those would, and that one would. So it's a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer for me. 3 points, I'd say probably on average, let's say 90 to 95% would make 3 points, maybe a bit more sometimes. So I'm going back to, I was bottling it and coming out at 1.5 points on 2 contracts. So that was giving me $150 profit. Now, if I reduce my risk to 1 contract and go for 3 points, that will give me this, the same profit. And if you're doubling your profit, if it's working 19 times in 20, it's an absolute no-brainer. So every 3 trades, if you traded 2 contracts, and instead of taking 1.5 points, you took 3 points. If every 3 trades you're up $450, theoretically you could win 3, lose 1, and you'll still be up. And that's at a win rate of about 78%. It's doing it about 95% at least. So it's an absolute no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer. The numbers don't lie, really. Obviously, it's down to it. It's down to every individual. You've got to make your own decisions. There's a break. Is there a lower high there? Let's see how that forms.
Order filled.
Let's put that for 3 points. We've had a break and a lower high, retested this top. So I'm on a sim anyway, so we got a channel down, a break, lower high. I don't even know if I've read this right, really. We're at the bottom, so no, I probably haven't. No, I haven't. We've bounced off the bottom there, so I'm going to get caught out there. But it's okay. It's a sim anyway. I'm just testing this theory, but I think it's probably safe to say that that is probably the bottoms. Yeah, okay. So I wouldn't ordinarily have taken that one because of this. So if it works, it's just pure luck, I think. It is a lower high. Depends whether you like this channel or not, but I don't think that'll come down to retest this. So I'm just going to leave that break even. It's a sim, so it doesn't really matter either way. But in fact, let's put it back to where it was. See if it does work. So if you believe this is a channel, I'm a bit on the fence here. But yeah, if you look at 3 points, 90%, 90 to 95% of the time it works. So I've just counted off about 35, 40 trades there, and I think there was 3 where it didn't work. So I think it's safe to say about 95% of the time it works. So This to me is a failed second entry short, and I think that's going to go up.
Order filled.
Three points again. It's all right. I'm testing this. In fact, that's more than 3 points. It's all right. I'm just doing a little bit of testing. So 3 points would be there from a tick above that. Let's say there. So that would be 3 points there. So there. Okay. It's all right. I wouldn't have taken that one anyway. I hadn't had the line down in there. This one I would have taken second entry long, trapping some shorts. There'll be some shorts there as well, so I expect that to smash through that. I'm not even a fan of that. So we've got a channel, we've got a break, 2 legs up. So that may even be one whole channel. You may look upon that as a channel. I don't think it's too bad, actually. I think sometimes you're always safer to assume we've had a break. So I wouldn't have gone short, and I wouldn't have normally gone long. I just took that just to see if it'd get back to there. But I expect that to work. There'd have been a few stops there. Definitely some there. So if I'd have gone in there, that would have worked. So it is a lower high which is triggered and finished with a higher low. So after 2 legs up and a new low, we've actually touched twice here perfectly. So I think for absolute certain that's going up. As soon as I can be anyway. There'll definitely be some stops there, so I expect it to smash through there. So from there, if I'd have got him 1 tick above there, that would be the 3 point mark where I would get out if I took that there.
Target
I took it
filled.
a bit late, but I worked out there. But yeah, that comfortably made it. I prefer it to do a little bit more than comfortably, though. So, yeah. That's where the stop would have been. Yeah, okay. So going from there, whether you did 1 tick or bullet, that would have made 3 points. So we got a channel down there, 2 legs up, bearish bar. I wasn't sure about at the time. I tried to assume we've had a break. We've pushed up here. We've had 2 legs down, and we've tested the this lows down here, and I'm pretty sure we've got 2 touches there and 2 there. There's a good chance this is the bottom of the range. So we had a push up, 2 legs back, bullish bar. I like the fact that we got a lower high. That's probably going to trap some traders. How many points would that short take? So if you took it 1 tick below, it would have to push through that. You may have got a point out of that, but then it pushed up, so leg and a leg. So that would have worked for 3 points. Okay, leg and a leg. What are we going to do now? Push back in. There probably is a little bit of resistance there. So we've got a leg down. There is a possibility we could continue down. It's hard to say at the moment. So looking on the daily, there is that possibility we could come down and retest this top. Okay, there is sort of a higher low there, but I'm not sure there. There does seem to be a bit of a resistance along there, so we could go a bit sideways. In other words, that could come down. Might work, but it is a high low, but it's more like a little channel and a break. So that's not something I think I would take, because you can clearly see there is a bit of support along here, so it might work, but I think there's more chance of it coming down. So let's just replace that. Be interesting to see if it works. I think there's a good chance. There is a little bit of it. Yeah, so we got a leg up and a leg up. Might be a better short, that.
Order submitted.
Let's see how that works out. It is a lower high.
Order filled.
Let's put this for 3 points. See if this would have worked. Too much. There's 3 points. So we've had a load down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go. Yeah, it's a bit hard to say at the moment, isn't it? I wouldn't normally take that. I tend to not pick tops. I'm just putting it there at curiosity. But we do seem to be finding some support there, so we'll see. Possible second entry short, maybe a failed second entry long. See if it doesn't push above there now, isn't it?
Stop filled.
Okay, so we are going up, it looks like. Recent traps have worked better than second entries. Recent traps have worked better than second entries. Oh, traps. I see what you mean. I thought you said traps. You put traps. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, I wouldn't have taken that on here. I don't pick tops and bottoms anyway. It's just we're having some resistance there. But so, yeah, in all fairness, even knowing what I've knowing now, I still wouldn't have taken that one. It is a second entry long, but it's a bit congested, so you're better off taking that on the engulfing, I think, really, wouldn't you? Putting it above there, at least that way you're taking out any possible shorts. After this and a new low anyway, retesting this, I wouldn't have gone short, but it was just out of 2 legs. That's another reason why I don't pick tops. It is 2 legs up, it is a lower high. We do seem to have finding resistance along here, but that's a good example of why I don't pick tops, because we're going, you know, we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 touches along there, and it does look like we may be ranging. And we clearly got a second entry short, lower high, triggered, pushed up. So that's another reason why I avoid tops and bottoms, because I'm crap at them. So let's see if we're going to find our ways to the top. I think there's a good chance we will. So let's look for a pullback. Let's do another 10 minutes, I think. Okay, bit of an overshoot. Yeah, there's a bit of an overshoot there. It's not something I would normally trade, but they often work. Maybe it's just going to push up strongly to the top now. We're so far up. Okay, excuse me, just for a minute. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. So yeah, clearly just a ranging day at the moment, I think. That's it for me. I did $1,000 to my eval account. Good on you, mate. Well done. Day 2 of trading, 5 to go. Excellent. Good for you, mate. Good on you. I'll see you tomorrow. That's always nice to do, isn't it? So that looks to me like an overshoot. So I would expect at least to come down here, or maybe just to correct. We'll see. That's if it is an overshoot. It may not be. Yeah, see, there does look like an overshoot on the NQ.
Order filled.
I'm just going to sell this here. There's just out of curiosity, there's an overshoot on the NQ and the 1,000 tick chart MES. So we've come up, made a new high. So I'd expect that to drop. It's looking bearish now on the NQ and the 1,000 tick MES. So just out of curiosity, just see if it does hold. We are on a sim anyway, so I'm just in trial mode here. That looks like it's going to continue up, doesn't it? Does look like an overshoot if you go from here. It certainly is on the NQ. It certainly is on the NQ. We've got this channel here, overshoot. I saw that bearish bar there, which is why I jumped in here. I'll never normally take that on a PA, but just want to see if it works, if it follows this. That's not going to work.
Stop filled.
Okay, let's just adjust that then. So that might be more of a spiking channel. Touch. You still probably expect this to get to here. The tops. Sometimes I like to have a play around and just see what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, see, in fact, won't that work from the bottom? It's negligible, isn't it, really? What time is it? Okay, I'm going to knock it on the head there, I think. So that one's passed anyway. That evaluation's passed. So until then, I'll just trade it on the sim. Hence, I've been playing around a little bit today just to see how the 3-point sort of things work. But yeah, just definitely a bit of a range day today. Nothing more really. We had the open, a little bit of a push up and tested this line, and we tested it again. So whether this will continue or not for the rest of the day, who knows? But it's been a nice chat today. Be interesting to get people's views on, what they trade. Some trade micro, some one contract. I think it's clear to see that not many people trade 2 contracts on a 50,000 PA, so I think it makes perfect sense that I reduce the risk. And I think that's what seems to be stopping me from making that, move to the next level to start making some consistent money out of this. I can build an account, but the trouble is when I take a loss, I get that I think we all get it to a degree, don't they? But there you go anyway. So I appreciate all the comments. It's been an okay day. Sometimes I like messing around on there. You're welcome, mate. Took a win off the NQ and I'm long. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Yeah, sometimes I like messing around on this sim and just having a bit of a play around and stuff, trying a few new things and that. But clearly just ranging. It's a bit choppy. There are a few trades there. There is a second entry long there. Break new low. There is a second entry long there. I don't think that was okay, actually. Certainly up to the tops. But it did continue on up. I think there was a fair chance that it might do after this, a break and a new low. Well, I say new low from here, but we're sort of hitting the same area there. So I think once we've had a push up above the EMA in a second entry long, probably going to be a few shorts trapped there. So when that finished, I think there was a good chance that was going to go up. So a couple of trades. In all fairness, which ones would I have taken? Although I like what's going on with the overshoot, but because of the congestion, I wouldn't have normally have taken that one. That I would have done. That I wouldn't have done. That I would have done. So a couple I wouldn't, and a couple I would. That I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on there. But there you go. So that evaluation's passed. So when I get that PA count, I'll reduce down to 1 contract. It's just too much risk. When you have a bad day, it hammers you too much. And I'm struggling to come back from it. I should know, really. But there you go. So I appreciate all the comments. I hope you guys have had a green day. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. I hope you get a setup. If we can get out of this, you may get something. So failing that, I'll be back tomorrow. It's Thursday, nearly another week gone. 1st of February today, so it doesn't seem 5 minutes ago since it was Christmas, does it? It goes so damn quick. So there you go. Best of luck. I appreciate all the comments. Have a great evening. Stay safe. And I will chat with you all again same time tomorrow. Bye for now.